I know Mississippi State claims it, but the band just performed it live at the Formula One there in Las Vegas, and it was totally awesome, as you can imagine. You know, I have a new dog at the house. He weighs about 40 pounds now, and it's 3 months, man. He's grown up. Well, I have a treasured, cherished Journey blanket that sits atop one of my chairs. He's like taking it over. He jumped up on it yesterday, scrambled it all up while he was eating on his bone, little Nyla bone and stuff. So my wife has announced that he now has taken possession of my cherished Journey blanket. But we welcome to the program now our good friend Brian Hadad, the co-host of SportsTalk Mississippi and the wildly successful Thunder and Lightning. I have declared he's my favorite Mississippi State fan. However, I've fallen from the ranks, Rhino. I'm now number two.
No. Never.
What's going on there?
What's going on, Gerard? Good to be with you today.
Well, we got the old Egg Bowl coming up, and I've been hearing the sound bites on our news here at the intervals where Lane Kiffin was talking to David Kellum about the Cowbell rules. Is it true there's like some special carve-out just for the Ole Miss game? Is that true or not?
No, it's the same rule all the time. Okay. You got to stop ringing it when the center puts his hand on the ball. That's how it is for everybody. Fair and balanced, equal treatment.
Okay, and I'm sure everyone in the stands complies with that rule, right?
100% compliance.
I love it.
And I defy you to prove otherwise.
Well, it's a big game, as it always is. It's on Turkey Day this year. So your preference, Thanksgiving or Saturday for the game, for the Egg Bowl?
I don't know why I like it on Thanksgiving, though.
Okay.
There's just something about having that Saturday of college football and the hay is already in the barn, so to speak, especially if your team gets the win, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're just watching college football. You're enjoying life. You know the trophies in the city that you want it to be in. That's a fun day. We do our Thanksgiving dinner on Saturday now instead of doing it on Thursday. So I don't, I'm not having to rush or anything with the game. And I love it on Thanksgiving.
I got you. In the old days, I don't see this as much anymore. You had to have the flags that you attached to your windows on the automobile. And if you won, of course, you sported those. If you lost, you just kind of hid.
No, it goes from, you'll be driving along and I'll see a tag with that red squiggly line on the front. And, last year, 2 years ago, I was just like, oh, God, I turned my head. I don't want to see that. Last year, I would smirk. I'm just like, gotcha. We got you this year.
Well, one thing is for sure, don't get too comfortable one way or another. It has a tendency to get confused and swivel about across the state, does it not? I mean, that's been the way it's been.
Yeah, you think back to the real old days, Gerard, even before your time at Ole Miss, and when Johnny Vaught was there, dominated this rivalry, right? I think went 18 years without losing to Mississippi State.
Yep.
And you think about what that would be like now. You think about what it would be like. Never mind 18 years, just 5. Yeah. Imagine if one team won 5 straight Egg Bowls. I mean, that would be it'd be unbearable for the other side.
No doubt about it. It'd be unlimited smack. 24 hours a day, 365 a year. It's for what they call them old bragging rights. Now, we'll have to say, though, Ole Miss is playing for a little bit more than bragging rights here.
Yeah, both teams have got something else on the line. For Ole Miss, this is a chance to finish out, a second 10-win season in 3 years. We just mentioned Vaught. That's as good a stretch as Ole Miss has had since he was roaming the sidelines there. Yeah. A chance to, if things go their way on Friday with the Missouri-Arkansas game, they could end up in one of the access bowls like the Peach Bowl or the Cotton Bowl and finish the season in the top 10. And then for Mississippi State, it's just about getting to any bowl they can get their hands on. They need a 6th win to be assured of that. It looks like there's going to be enough. There's not going to be enough 6-6 teams that some 5-7 teams are going to make it, and so State could be in that mix. But State would like to remove all doubt, obviously, and just get in there with a win on Thursday night.
What do you expect tomorrow?
Yeah, you're going to be surprised hearing this from me, but I think Ole Miss is going to dominate this football game. I just don't have a lot of faith in State this year. They just haven't played well for the most part. I mean, offensively, they're just very, very limited, and defensively, they've been better the past few weeks, but I don't think they've played the best offenses. I mean, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, and they give up 51 to a mediocre Texas A&M with their third-string quarterback. I think State's in real trouble tomorrow night. I think Ole Miss is probably going to win this game pretty easily.
Do you think the coaching
That's
change?
not me sandbagging you either.
No, I
Richard
understand.
thinks I'm sandbagging. I'm not sandbagging.
What do you think the coaching change might serve as, I don't know, one way or another to the state team, state players?
It gives them a little juice. It gives them a little excitement. You saw the video last week of Coach Knox riding that four-wheeler into the locker room, and that got them motivated. And I think that they will be motivated, but motivation only takes you so far. Yeah. And talent's got to take over at some point. And Ole Miss is just the better football team this year. There's just no getting around that.
Certainly, as they say on paper, that would be the case. But, it's always said that all the records are out the window and all the games in the prior seasons out the window. And, of course, playing there in Starkville at Scott Field is always a tough challenge. Here's what I think. If Ole Miss does get up by a couple of scores, I do think they run away with it. The problem is, can they get to that point? As long as I think State's kind of in the game, it's tough.
Ole Miss is a big play offense. They like to get those chunk plays, both in the running and the passing game. And State's defense this year has just been a sieve for those kind of plays. I mean, you go back and you watch them against LSU, South Carolina, A&M, Alabama. They give up those chunk plays. So Ole Miss, I just feel like they're going to be successful. And then on the other side of the ball, Ole Miss is a defense. They're kind of the same thing. They get big plays on defense. They get sacks. They force turnovers. State's offensive line has struggled this year. I think they'll struggle to protect Will Rogers, who's just not a threat to run. And I just don't. I think it's just a bad mix for Mississippi State.
Yeah, I am worried from an Ole Miss fan perspective about our offensive line. We've sustained some injuries there. Do you think that'll come into play?
If they play like they played last week, that can go in State's favor, right? State. I saw enough of the Ole Miss ULM game that I saw that they struggled there, and obviously I think State's better on the defensive line than ULM is. So if they can put some pressure on Jackson Dart, that's great. But Dart is a good enough runner that he can escape that. State's going to need a big game from Buki Watson and Jet Johnson, who have been big game guys all year long, leading the SEC in tackles. They're going to need to really step up tomorrow night for State to have a chance. I'm
thinking we may see some design plays, delay, and Dart takes off sort of plays. We saw some of that earlier in the season. You think that's possible?
I mean, the only thing I would be concerned with there is, and I saw the reports that he's banged up.
Banged up.
This is the last week of a football season. Everybody's banged up.
Sure.
But they might try to protect him. I don't know if they would want to do a lot of design runs with him. But that being said, when the play breaks down, he's fully capable of getting out there. And if it depends on the weather. I think it's going to be cloudy tomorrow, but I mean it's Thanksgiving Day with the Egg Bowl. I just expect rain at some point. It could be a clear, beautiful day.
That's true.
We'll get a thunderstorm on that day.
That's
so
absolutely true.
Yeah, but the rain I think helps Ole Miss because they can just run the football with Judkins and Bentley and just mash straight ahead.
Well, we look forward to it. It ought to be fun. For a second here, Coach Cooley over at Delta State. I don't know if you caught. I don't know exactly. I don't know if you caught that interview. I
did not. What do you have to say?
Well, he's just fantastic, and of course, very successful, very humble about it. And at the end there, Brian, we can't ignore it. I asked him about his feelings on NIL, the portal, and all that kind of stuff, and he didn't hesitate. I don't like it. I mean, he just came right out.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, that represents the sentiments of most coaches in college football.
Too.
Don't you? Because, I think that those who enjoy recruiting, that are really good at it, they like selling their programs and all the assets they have to offer. But with this, that's almost secondary.
Yeah. I think coaches for sure don't like it because it makes you have to re-recruit your roster every year. It's not good enough that you've got them, you sign them, and then they're on your team. Now you got to keep them on your team every year. And, and I know that things are going on behind their back. I mean, Quinshon Judkins is probably hearing from other programs right now. Tulu Griffin is probably hearing from other programs, Xavion Thomas. And, they get in their ear and they have to make decisions. So, it definitely makes it tougher for the coaches. But just for my purposes, I have trouble feeling sorry for a guy making $9 million a year.
I hear you.
So, you just take your lumps there and keep your team together. You'll be all right.
Well,
now Todd Cooley's a little different. He's not making $9 million
That's
a year.
Right.
But,
I think they've got a pretty good chance to end up in the national championship. What about you?
Yeah, I do too. That quarterback she got, who right now he's got my Connerly vote right now, and he's playing at a really high level. They got a great chance to win a national title.
They do, and
Cleveland.
Coach Cooley was he did not hesitate to promote his quarterback as his pick, and he should for the Connerly. Well, we shall see. We might have a little post-Egg Bowl discussion next week sometime, but appreciate you coming on today, Brian. I hope that you have a fantastically happy Thanksgiving, my friend. Good to talk to you.
You too, my friend. I'll see you soon.
You got it. We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Well studio. Stay with us.